Hi, I'm Brian Powell. I'm an associate professor in environmental engineering and earth sciences, and my research is in the field of environmental radiochemistry. And I'm going to talk to you today about writing an integrated hypothesis and objective set for your proposals. And what I'll point out is that really is a great starting point for your proposals and a way to really organize your experimental tasks and even find collaborators. I can tell you from my personal experience, even though this is the harder thing for us to do as scientists, is to sit down and instead of just thinking about the experiments we're going to run, instead to write out explicit hypotheses. This takes a lot of time and it's really hard to sit down and do, but my funding success rate for the proposals where I had done this and I go through and get things written out first is much higher than for the proposals where I just kind of cobble together a bunch of experiments. So I can tell you from my personal experience that this does work. Now, as scientists, we're trained to start from hypotheses, but very frequently in our day-to-day lives, where we're running our research group and trying to keep the labs running and things, we don't really consider those on a daily or fundamental basis. We're thinking about, well, this student needs to run this experiment and this one needs to run this experiment. So we're thinking in terms of how to line up the experimental tasks first. And if you start from there, then usually you don't end up with a really well integrated proposal. If instead you spend the time to write out these hypotheses and explicitly what kind of questions you're going to answer, what you'll find is that the proposal itself may actually change some scope a little bit. But then you can move from that hypothesis section to a series of objectives that need to be met in terms of collection of data or models run in order to test those experimental hypotheses you've designed. And so then from the hypotheses to the objectives, it's actually quite an easy step to write out the experimental tasks that are necessary in order to generate the data needed for those objectives, which then are testing your hypotheses. I know this is very simple. This is what we're taught as the scientific method from day one, but unfortunately we really have a hard time, or most people I know have a hard time sitting down and doing this when they're writing their own proposals. One of the other big advantages of doing this is once you have those objectives written out, then you know exactly what kind of expertise you need in order to perform the work that you're proposing. And so it makes finding collaborators very easy because you can really just start out and say, well, who are the experts in the field who do, tasks A, B, and C in this? And then you just, as simple as it is, you send them an email and call them. And this can be very intimidating for younger faculty members if you're calling the known experts in your field. But in most cases, they're going to be very happy to hear from a junior faculty member who really wants to push an idea forward in some research. But the other advantage of writing these hypotheses out first is when you do make that call and you contact those people, you have the research program already in front of you, and you can talk to them explicitly about what their role in the project will be and what your role and what the other collaborators' roles will be. So you have an organized proposal already formatted when you're contacting these people. So in my view, this is a really hard thing to do because it takes a lot of additional work to write out a clear and concise set of hypotheses. But once done, it really results in a very integrated proposal that I guarantee you will review very, very well, and much better than one where you just throw some tasks together. So that's all I had for this, and make sure you see the Clemson Research YouTube site for more PI pointers.